Welcome to Co-op Mode, round 133. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. Oh my goodness, we're here to talk video games. I am Todd Oxtra in Minnesota. Our first snow of 2024 actually happened, but it's going to melt by the end of the week because we'll be at 50 degrees. So thank you, global warming. The polar bears are pissed off and starving, and here we are in Minnesota with no snow. Sad, sad, sad. I'm also joined by someone who's not so sad, and that is Mr. Mark Kirby, because he's been loving the snow because he's got more than he can deal with.
Yeah, loving is an interesting phrase there. There might be some others that I would choose. We are just still dealing with a ridiculous amount of snow, like more than I've ever seen in such a short period of time. It's been crazy. We had a holiday today, and we were like, "Can we go out? Can we do something?" And it's like the sidewalks still aren't properly plowed. There's like you just can't do anything, and it's something. It's definitely something. We were both saying today or yesterday, like my wife and I were both like, you know what, I miss like torrential rains. I miss just rain as much as it wants to and get rid of some of this. And spring cannot sprung fast enough.
Okay, Mark. So I'm going to ask you a question. We need to do a Canadian PSA. So what is the Canadian holiday?
There's a bunch of different holidays today, actually.
Okay.
Depending on where you are in Canada, it is Family Day for several provinces, Islander Day in PEI, like Louis Riel Day in Manitoba, I think. And here in Nova Scotia, it is Heritage Day. So each year they kind of honor a different inductee into Nova Scotia Heritage Day Hall of Fame or whatever you want to call it. So that's
congratulations, Mark, on getting inducted.
Yeah, I've definitely done worthwhile things to be inducted. But everyone, it's kind of funny because like I think Family Day was like the first thing, and so many other provinces do it that everyone even here calls it Family Day, but it's actually and I don't think Nova Scotia, the government or whatever, does enough of a good job of like telling people like, no, it's Heritage Day. Like this year's honoree is a guy named William Hall. And like a son of some enslaved parents, former slaves. And I'm not going to get into a history lesson here, but like like nobody was being, I see things on Facebook and whatever that of people being like, hey, happy to spend the day with family, and like like it's a great day for family. It's like kind of if you're in other provinces, but here it's like I didn't see a single post about like William Hall or even from like the government and stuff. It was just like, enjoy the day with family. It's like, why not just call it Family Day if we're going to just like gloss over the fact that you're supposed to be honoring like someone in, Nova Scotia history. Anyway, that's my little rant, but it was a fun day off with the family. So that's whatever.
It should really be Family Day : something. So
right.
It's Family Day for everybody, but for those who celebrate William Hall or whatever his name is, we salute you.
It's super weird. And as a different person every year, I personally enjoy kind of like reading the, the biography and history of some of the people that have been honored so far. And it's only been Heritage Day for a few years now. It's not something we've always celebrated since I was a kid. So there's only been a few inductees, and it's interesting to see the thought process that goes into it and who they pick and read a little bit about their lives and all that kind of stuff. But it's such a weird kind of like, most of the provinces have a day off, but like it's all different things all across everywhere. But like Family Day kind of sticks with a lot of people. It's such a weird kind of thing. I don't really care because I have a day off. Call it what you want to call it. But anyway, it's like a weird sticking point for me. It's like people are like, enjoy Family Day. And I'm like, nope, I'm not in like any of these other provinces that actually
suck it. It's William Hall's birthday or day of celebration. Take that.
Exactly.
Take it, Montreal.
That's it. Yeah, I'm not in Ontario right now. Leave me alone. I'm gonna do that stuff. Anyway, so that's it. So, but you guys had a holiday down there too. President's Day?
Yeah, President's Day. So essentially we can't celebrate a specific president because apparently that makes us feel like we're like a monarchy celebration. So it's all the presidents. But you know what? There's a special episode of The Simpsons where they had a song called "These Are the Mediocre Presidents." And I celebrate mediocre presidents. Henry Harrison, who died in 30 days. Yeah, it's a great song.
I was just going to say, we just finished a full rewatch of Parks and Recreation. And they had a great little bit on William Henry Harrison.
Yep.
Really good stuff.
Good times. Yeah. Good times. Yeah. Bad time to like get an illness back in the days because you're the likelihood that you survive like foot and mouth disease, very low. Yeah. But don't recommend it.
Pretty rough.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh well. Celebrate all of these wonderful days. I had to work, and I was enjoying my family being off. So that was my present. Yeah. So there we go, folks. If you celebrate a cool day on February 19th, let us know what that is. But Mark, before we've already celebrated one thing, but we have to celebrate some really special people that are neither presidents or a member of Heritage Day.
Well, I mean, you never know. Some of these people could be on for President's Day or Heritage Day. We don't know what the future brings. But right now, we're just going to say thank you for being our Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite, where you can get a free 7-day trial of all the exclusive fun stuff, including no ads on these shows for patrons as well. Speaking of these shows, everything's, I don't know if anyone is listening on Google Podcasts or follows over there or whatever. That is changed to YouTube Podcasts. So we're working on getting all the shows changed over and all that kind of stuff. So YouTube is going to have audio and video versions, but you're going to be able to get those ad-free on patreon.com/secretfriendsunite, where you can join people such as John Sadorf, the Phoenix Sisters cosplay, Brennan Myers, Matthew Keel, and Corian HD in our Friends with Benefits tier, and the amazing Sean, Stella, and Henry Nias, the Nias family. Thank you so much as well. Missy Merchant, thank you for being our BFFs. You guys are the MVPs. You can join all these people again over on patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Get everything ad-free, get exclusive stuff, get early stuff. Everything happens over there. It's all fun. And again, ad-free. So if you don't want to listen to us talk about Zencastr, Patreon's the place.
$2 gets you in the door. That's all we say, folks. So appreciate your support. Being a patron has its privileges because we always put these things out. Like if you want to join us or have a special topic or question. And one of our Patreons dodged a bullet because Sean Nias has said, I want to come on and talk about Madam Web. Well, he had a work-related trip, so he couldn't come on. And wow, Mark, he dodged a bullet. That's all I'll say.
Could he see into the future, maybe?
Apparently, yes. And yes. And losing all that money to watch something for 2 hours, yes, not so hot. So with that, we get into we're 8 minutes in. Now we're actually going to talk about video games.
Yes.
But you know what? A Canadian legend, a lesson was well worth it. So we get to buy, rent, return. And this week I picked game type. So game type is the three we're going to talk about are PVE or person versus environment. Is it player versus environment?
Player versus environment.
Yeah. It's very inclusive. Player. It has no. It has no gender or anything. It's a player is a player. Then we have player versus player. So player versus environment is essentially, I should say this. It's basically like it's you versus AI bosses and things like that. You're not fighting other real humans. Player versus player. That's all you're doing. You're fighting other people in a competitive environment. And then solo, there's no other multiplayer element. You're not even doing co-op. It's just solo. So think about like your Jedi Fallen Order, PvP. Think about like COD, Modern Warfare. What other examples of just pure PvP is there, Mark? Is that the main one?
Like Fortnite. Yeah, that kind of.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
PvP.
And then PVE,
like
think of
battle
like
royales and stuff, PvP, right?
Yeah. For every last man standing, you're taking. I mean, there might be some bots in the field, but you're predominantly want to take out the real players to win. Or it's teams versus teams, in those type of King of the Hill, those type of things. And then PVE, that's like Left 4 Dead, or if you think about like Destiny, where you have a fire team, you go against the AI, or horde mode, or things like that, where it's typically you're as a team, you're taking on enemies together in a co-op form. Any other examples?
Yeah, no. When you said horde mode, that kind of like like Call of Duty Zombies, like different modes in different games, I guess would kind of encompass that. Okay, I got the gist of this. We had a few questions to clarify that. Gimpy J in our Discord chat.
People are catching on with you got to game the game.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, kind of, make clarification that solo and PvE kind of the same thing. Just for clarification, do you mean something like Destiny Fireteam, WoW raids, that kind of stuff, where it's like a group activity focused on taking down computers? So yeah, that's
very cooperative. PvE, it's very helping each other out. Yeah, you're buffing a guy, you're giving him health, you're picking him up when he's dead to take down like the hordes and the masses that are AI typically.
Like even Salmon Run in Splatoon would be PvE, like that kind of mode. Okay, so I need to clarify one thing. Is this, so we're talking modes, right? Like the game type, game mode, like what's your favorite mode?
I mean, yes,
like one game, like I'm thinking Call of Duty could encompass all three of these types.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Because you have the Call of Duty story mode, you have Call of Duty Zombies, and you have Call of Duty Warzone for like last man standing kind of thing, and then regular Call of Duty,
which is solo.
Multiplayer and stuff like for
Splatoon's like that too. To your point, Splatoon 2, Splatoon 3, they have all of those three modes. So in a way, I'm like, yes, it's a caveat there. So I would say, but I would say within all of that though, what is your favorite mode or style of game to play? And even though it's like, I look at a little bit of that, but if I was put on a desert island and I could only do one thing, because desert islands you typically can't play. Well, that's a bad example because you can't typically play online in a desert island. So that would not be a great example. So maybe you're like Fallout Shelter, but you have an internet connection. You're in a Fallout Shelter, but you have an internet connection.
And you can't do anything but play these games. You can't call for help. Right. You can only play this. Your mic's broke.
Yep.
So it makes it a little bit.
Does that hurt you if it's
All right.
So maybe we got to say you can still talk to people, but you just can't go out with the masses. You're stuck in your place, but you can play with people online.
I like it. Do we want to go through some of the write-in votes first? Yeah,
absolutely. So I'm going to cheat, and I'll take the short one.
Okay.
So Schloss Ritter says, "By PV, I am hooked on WoW Classic again." Very good example. That is the raids. That is collaborative combat against the. It's not PvPVE. It's basically just taking on AI. He says, "Rent solo. I can play at my own pace, and it's typically a limited experience. You're done. And that's it. Yeah. Unless you're talking about like Pac-Man or something. Pac-Man is a solo experience, but you could play Pac-Man forever if you wanted to. No story. And then Return PvP. I'm bad at this.
I love the honesty.
Great example of PvP.
Yeah.
Yes.
Famous Seamus, we've got Buy Solo. I like to enjoy a game and its story. Rent PvP. It's fine to play against other people, even when I'm not good at the game. And then Return PvE. While there are plenty of fun games that have PvE, I see too many of them having a lot of things I'm not a fan of, like play to win stuff, overpriced cosmetics, exactly that kind of stuff. I think that kind of stuff persists in PvP as well.
Yes, exactly.
But that's good kind of reasons to not get into that kind of stuff. I can see that. Gimpy J, who, again, thank you for clarifying that kind of stuff, because I was following along in Discord and and seeing that was a good clarification. By PVE, I play practically everything solo anyway, but like the option of playing with someone. My favorite game last year was Remnant 2. When I was playing WoW and not raiding, I was tempting all content solo if it could be done. I like that clarification as well. Like the option to have PVE, very specific. And that's going to factor into mine as well, but for different rankings and different reasons. Mm-hmm. But I like it placed there. That's a good one. Rent, solo player experiences. This is based on the previous answer, as I do not want to exclude those that have no online component. Great. Return PvP, mediocre to good at PvP games, but do not care enough to devote time to getting better.
The good factor.
I'm loving the fact that these like self reflections of like, you know what? I'm not good enough to jump online and compete with people, and I accept that about myself. I love it. I love the Discord group is getting honest and going. It's pretty good. Pretty good self reflection here.
I agree, and so there's some caveats with this too, because I think of like fighting games. It's either solo or PvP. There's no like collaborative effort. Smash is a lot like that too, but Smash has the team up, but a lot of it is playing solo, or you're just, not good at it, or I'm not good at it. Yeah. But I would take on my son and would always taunt him just to piss him off, even though he would beat my butt. So there's some elements of that.
You can kind of cheat. Like games like Smash into being kind of a PvE experience.
An AI. Yeah, create an AI.
Create an AI and say like, okay, it's going to be a 3v1, whatever. Like, have 3 player controlled people trying to take on one AI bot ranked 10 max up, and see if the 3 of you can kick this computer's butt. So you can kind of cheat that with some of those kind of games, but for the most part, they're pretty much single or PvP. So a lot of depth to this when you can think about different.
Absolutely.
Ways it can go in different ways it can be applied.
I like the fact that someone pointed, I can't remember who said it, but basically a lot of PvE games like Destiny, I almost hated playing. Like if I'm playing a campaign for the first time and I play with others, I'm missing story beats because I'm talking to somebody. I'm not able to absorb the story. So I'm like, what did he say? Oh, I'm so excited, but I want to talk to my friends. So it is that double-edged sword. So I always play like solo first. And Destiny's great about that. And then you can like, I've already listened to the story 85 times. Let's just get back and like beat some butt. Yeah. So Mark, great examples here. So where are we going?
Great examples. Definitely great examples. Like a couple of them said, the same kind of reasons. I'm going to go buy solo. And for the same kind of things of like, I like playing at my own pace. I like playing solo. I do appreciate the ability to play with someone, whether it's online or nowadays, playing as Finn gets a little bit more interested in playing video games. Today, we played Kirby and the Forgotten Land for a little while. Great game. Starting to get a little harder than I want for him. He's getting frustrated that he can't just continue. We got to like the second land or area, continent or whatever you want to call it, but we're hitting that roadblock of like, you haven't found enough Waddle Dees yet or whatever the hell they are. And it's like, you can't go to the boss stage until you go back and replay all the other stages. And he doesn't have patience for finding like little secrets hidden somewhere, or like knocking down the 6 hidden Kirby posters in a stage. So it's like, that's a pain in the ass. Anyway, I'm diverting, but
that's a dad chore that you have to do when he's asleep. Do it for him. Like, mission. Hey, champ, we did
it. Okay. So I am going to buy solo because I find I just, my gaming time, I appreciate being able to pick up and play, have no one depend on me for something like a raid or this or that, or a specific time to play. I can just pick up and play Pokemon. I can go play Super Mario or Lego Star Wars or whatever I'm playing at the time, and I can just do that. I'm going to rent PvP because I love Fortnite. I love those kind of games. But again, PvP allows me to not have other people dependent on me and my time commitment and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
I used to love Destiny 1 rating. That was awesome. Oh. But you need some time.
That's an appointment. You need someone to schedule appointments.
Yeah. WoW, the same kind of thing, man. When WoW originally came out and I was hooked on it, my brother was, his girlfriend at the time, like it was just like we played, we rated, we won, like that was it. But you need that time commitment. And I find I just don't have that kind of capability of sitting down, even like to try to knock out a salmon run or something like that. I'm just like, I don't know.
Especially when salmon run is like, it's only at these hours of this week.
It's like what? Every third Thursday from 3:04 to 3:17 a.m. Enjoy salmon run, folks. So like, it's just not happening for me. I love those kind of maps. Like Call of Duty Zombies back in the day was like, oh yeah, yes, let's go. A horde mode or whatever it was called in Gears of War, like, yep, love it. So I'm sad to return PvE. I love all of these, by the way. Great topic, Todd. I love this. And I love all of these for very different reasons at different times. If you talk to me in different times in history or even, like different times of the year, if it's like summer vacation, I have more time, I can do something, whatever it is. If I'm a little bit more free, this is going to flip around. I'm like solo. I can play that whenever I want. Something else is moving up. But for right now, right where I am, it's going to be buy solo, rent PvP, sadly return PvE, but I respect all types of game modes. I like it.
Yeah, it just made me think this week's topic was driven by Helldivers 2 and success being a PvE only game, which was unique. It really doesn't have a solo mode. And I was thinking about this too. We're going to talk about this with Sea of Thieves potentially going to other platforms. I know you love that game, and it's predominantly it can be a PvE or a PvP. There's also a solo mode now, right? Is that it, or am I missing it? Is it just PvP and solo, or is there also a PvE?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a PVPVE game.
Got it. Environmental hazards, but there's no get rid of the other players. Oh.
No, and that's all optional, right? Like you can do the other player thing, but it doesn't mean anything. Like you can take out another ship, or you can team up and decide to do missions and stuff together. You can take them out. Like I've had other ships come up on me when I'm doing solo slooping and just going fishing. And I've had like a full ship come by and like they kill me and laugh. And I'm like, have fun, dude. I have no loot.
Give us your pants, sir.
Whatever. And I take a few of them out and we go down underneath and like wait a couple of seconds and then we're right back up. So it doesn't really mean anything in that game.
Got it.
But then there are those missions where you're fighting the environment, you're fighting the AI, or you're doing these missions.
Yeah, the Parts of the Caribbean mode. Yeah. Where they have the new mode.
But I mean, even just the regular mode, like you get a treasure map and you go here, and there's skeletons and this and that, and whatever that you have to fight. And that's such a different game. And like the megs, the different environmental things that can take you out. And then other players. Yeah, Sea of Thieves is such an interesting one. That kind of
and bounces back. They've adjusted over time and definitely have opened other options for people to play. Very, very cool. Yeah, so it makes me think about other games in the way I play. So that's why I made me think about this topic this week. So for myself, it's really hard too. I mean, at least there's only one I would say definitely goes to my bottom. So maybe I'll start there. That is PvP. I enjoyed it at times, but I'm not very good. The only game I felt like I did decent was Destiny with PvP. The only reason I did that was to get stuff to move on. I didn't stick around just for the PvP. So that would be my return. My rent would probably be PvE. Now, I don't think that jives with real life because it's a PvE game. That means it's probably ongoing. So I'm actually going to keep that game because it's going to be forever game, right? So that's the hard part. But if I'm talking about like where my bread is buttered and where I spend most of my time, it's definitely solo games. But PvE is that perfect blend for me. If I'm going to play with others, I want to have a team against the bad guys, like in Destiny with a fire team, taking down those raids. It was one of my favorite experiences of all time. I love that. And I'm going to get into Hell Divers too. We'll talk about that, but that's a PvE only game. So that's kind of fun too, because people get excited about teaming up and having an adventure. But solo, that's me. I just love having a great story, a great campaign, or if it's not even a great story, but it's just a great gameplay that I can play in my own time. I don't have to worry about like setting a time. I get to the game and play as much as I want. And if I want to walk away, I don't incur a problem or a penalty, and I don't piss anybody off. So yeah, I'm very nervous about making people mad online. Like, you left our game. The team died because of you.
Getting mostly through a Destiny raid and being the only one that's like, hey guys, sorry, I have to bail. Like, whoops. I had 3 hours cut out because I thought that's how long this was going to take, and we're on hour 4, and now I have to go to a whatever. And like, it's such a shit feeling.
Yeah, it is. Especially you don't want to let anybody down, but
pause and come back. And like, if no one else has, then you got to reschedule the whole damn thing. Oh,
yeah, you got to wipe, or we got to start over again because it's been a week. Yeah. That was the Destiny thing. It just killed me. Yeah. I'm like, and you got to get together with the same team. So yeah. But great times, a lot of great opportunities to really have a great time with people, however you like to play. So I'm glad we could discuss this. This is a little bit more timely, and let us know if you disagree or you have thoughts on that. So at this point, though, it's time to talk about what we've actually been gaming. So we'll actually try to be able to like say if any of these actually meet our threshold for what we said. And if we lied, yell at us.
Yeah, exactly. I already talked about the first one that I've been playing a little bit, so I might as well start there and talk about Kirby and the Forgotten Land. My son has a little Kirby plush that we got him ages ago, and he just thought was cute when he was a kid. And we were looking at some of his other things. He has a Mario one and this and that, like, a couple of Pokemon and stuff. And then he saw the game. I was scrolling through something on my Switch trying to find something else. And he saw that and he's like, I have that. It's like, yeah, that's Kirby. Can we play that game? Okay, sure. And so he's been hooked. Like I said, we got to the second continent. So that's like, I think 3 or 4 worlds down now, and he's been really enjoying it. He loves playing as Kirby. He loves the different abilities, but he is not averse to hucking a controller at me when things get a little dicey and taking over the Waddle Dee with a spear. So it's been fun to try to play like backseat and be completely stuck to where he's going. Because if you haven't played that game in 2-player mode, Waddle Dee can't go very far before he's warped to Kirby. So there have been times when I'm trying, again, to do dad mode of like, I know there's a hidden thing over here. I know we have to get this. I know we have to save some Waddle Dees. I'm trying to go do that. And he's like, golden path, let's do this. I can see the exit. And I'm like, I can touch it. Zap right towards Kirby. And I'm like, come back here, please. I need to get this stupid thing so we don't have to play the stage 7 times again. And but it's great. It's I love, like, it's good. And that's been like the like Mario Wonder, Mario Deluxe that I talked about last time. He loves playing the same stages over and over again. With Kirby, for some reason, he's like, I don't want to play that stage again. It's like, dude, we played the same 2 stages in Mario Wonder 187 times, and you're complaining about going back for a Waddle Dee in one stage that we have to play the second time? Who are you? And why are you making this difficult? I don't know. I can't explain it, but he's a delight to play with, and it's fun.
That's a great game, though, Mark. I tell you, I beat it, and quite honestly, when you beat that game, there is actually a second part of the game that I never really got into. That is apparently really goes hardcore, because that game does get difficult. And my son loved Kirby games back in the day. Kirby Return to Dreamland. Logan loved that on the Wii. I think it was on the Wii. He loved that game. It was amazing. It's side-scrolling. It's definitely has all the power ups, but it's got like you get the huge sword. That was a favorite for Logan. Also, Kirby Epic Yarn was great too. So there's so many good Kirby games if he likes that, and you have those games somewhere, or you can get them cheap on because I think you still have your Wii U.
I do. I think I have
so I'd say get those games. Get Epic Yarn, and then Kirby Return to Dreamland is now on Switch, where they upgraded the graphics, they add some stuff. So I'd say check those out too with Finna, because I think you'd like them too. Absolutely. They're a little bit easier, and they're not reliant on a lot of other things. It's just fun and goofy.
And you know what? I haven't even thought. I think I have a couple on my 3DS, and
Kirby Robobot. I think there's one that Logan liked.
Yeah. I introduced him to the 3DS with Super Mario 3D Land. 3D off, of course, but he enjoyed that, and he played that for a little bit, and then it got again. That game really ramps up quickly, and especially when you don't have 3D on, because it relies so much on the effects of where you're jumping and that kind of stuff. I'm not going to turn 3D on for the kid. So I wonder if I have some Kirby games on there too. Good thought. I might do a deep dive into Kirby.
Dream Course.
We'll see.
Yeah. Dream Course came out on Switch for like $10, right? Too. Or was it Dream Course? Or it was like Delicious Course.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
It's like food too. Yeah. It's like food focused. Yeah. And I think there's even games on NSO.
Dive into Kirby and see
Kirby NSO games too. Like
Yeah, we tried to play one. My brother had the SNES Classic hooked up over the weekend at my parents' place, and we tried whatever one's in that. I think there's Dream Course, and then there's another collection,
like N64, right?
Collection or something like that. You're just like, no, not having it. Like, not working.
What's is it Canvas Curse or the game on the Wii U?
Was excellent.
Those are good too.
Yeah,
those are good too. Yeah,
so good.
Really good games.
I'm gonna have to do a deep dive and see what other Kirby games I have, because right now it's
you're just gonna be all Kirby all the time.
Yeah. Aside from that, and a little bit of the Mario 3D Land myself, I've been just kind of dipping back into Fortnite before the season ends. They're doing the Ninja Turtle crossover. I got all the Ninja Turtle skins because I can't stay away from 90s nostalgia and crossovers in Fortnite. I didn't get all of the skins. I didn't get April or Splinter, but I do have the 4 Ninja Turtles and Shredder. But holy crap, man! I love that. I love that the Ninja Turtles have just been around. Like every generation, every thing. Like there's all, and of course Finn is into Ninja Turtles now. He found some of my old Ninja Turtle toys. He's loving it. The Ninja Turtles were playing with Batman today. Great stuff. And so it's just interesting to see, because I was looking up like what kind of kid appropriate Ninja Turtle shows. There's got to be one, right? I figured. And there are a couple on like Paramount Plus of like very kid focused, right? Like 3-year-old focused rather than like 6, 7, 8-year-old.
Is that the main one with Cowabunga? They don't use their swords to kill anybody.
Probably a little bit more kid focused, and I'm going to do that one. But there is one that was like specifically made for toddlers. They go into like dinosaur time. I can't remember what it's called. But that one's newer, and it was really, really cute. And Finn followed along, and the turtles were, turtles, but a little bit more kiddie. It was really cute. So he's having like this little turtle thing. But when I went to search turtles on Paramount Plus, it was like, there's so many, like every generation just has their own turtles.
Yes.
There are like slight little variations of like, whether it's the classic cartoon or like just all these different iterations of like computer generated and like it's just so good. There's so many turtle things out there to dive into. So it's through Fortnite, I got to do this whole like Ninja Turtle Renaissance kind of thing, and I'm like, I want to watch all of this and just go straight back. So it's I might have to deep dive into Ninja Turtles.
Pro tip: I think you can find it very quickly on Xbox. It's one of your main platforms. You can get Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, which is everything, plus Injustice Ultimate, 2 Ultimate, which includes all the turtles for like $10.
Might have to do that.
So it's worth getting it because those turtle skins are amazing. It's really cool, and some of I don't want to say there's no deaths really in in Injustice because they can't kill Superman, but it's really good. I wish Street Fighter didn't do what they did with it, where they charge you $15 per skin per turtle.
Yeah.
And they're just a skin. They don't actually have their abilities. Yeah.
Oh. I mean, that's kind of what it was in Fortnite, right? It was like $10, I think, per skin or something like that. But
so if you can get that in Injustice 2 with the turtles for like plus the Ultimate, like $10 for both full games with all the DLC, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, I already have that on PS5. Yeah.
And we did, speaking of turtles, I completely forgot until right now. We did dive into Shredder's Revenge. Finn and I played his first brawler, loved it. He loved it. It's so simple to get, right? Because there's like 2 buttons, punch and jump. And
it's co-op, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Like, and it's like several players co-op. So like the 3 of us played it. It was really fun.
That's great.
Just going through and just.
Did you get the DLC that gives you like Usagi Yojimbo and the female?
I didn't. I really have to.
Okay. Yeah. It's if you I don't know if this is, I'm assuming it's the same in Canada, but if you have the Netflix app, you get Shredder's Revenge for free in the App Store, and you can play that game with all the DLC included for free, which I thought was awesome.
Check that out.
Yeah. Very cool. And if you ever come out to Minneapolis, Mark, I want to go to the Mall of America, we have the Nick amusement park in the Mall of America. So it's Turtles, Avatar, Dora, all of those things. The Mall of America.
Very cool.
There's a huge Lego store. It's amazing. You could stay with us. That
sounds fun.
Yeah, we're just south of Manitoba, or south of Winnipeg, Mark. So come on over.
Perfect. Sounds fun.
Well, very, very good. I love it. I love the Turtles. I love Kirby. So for me, just an update on Prince of Persia, the Forgotten Crown. That game is way too long. I'm 25 hours in, and I think at hour 20, I finally got the double jump. That's a long time to go with a double jump, but it opens up everything. It's a long Metroidvania. I think I have 2 more things to do, and I'm stuck. So I put that game on pause. And Mark, I was going to play Hell Divers too. I got the ultimate FOMO, so I joined the XCP Discord group because I'm a part. All of the Patreons for XCP get part of the group, so I came over there, talked to them, and they said, "Oh, we're into Hell Divers too." I'm like, "Hey, I thought this was an Xbox group." Haha, this is only PlayStation and PC right now. So they're going all in on it. Great group over there. Awesome times. So if you want to check out an Xbox-centric podcast and group, highly recommend XCP. But it's kind of crazy because I'm like, okay, I'm going to try out this game, Hell Divers 2. It's going to be amazing. It is essentially a PVE-only game. It's a sequel from the original Hell Divers, where you've got essentially a team that goes in to kill bugs. It's like Starship Troopers, apparently. It's very tongue-in-cheek with the, hey, citizens, you want to defend Super Earth and defeat the beast. It's very much like goofy, over the top. I love it, tongue-in-cheek. And I see it, and it's like it's definitely team-based, but it's highly difficult. You can kill each other very easily. You can drop down things, and then hijinks ensue. But it sounds like it's hilarious. It does have some buying. You can buy some things in the game, but you can also earn them. So I think it's a good balance. But it's only $48 game. So this game is taken off on Steam. It's like ridiculous. It's the first time that Sony's dropped an exclusive day and date on PC. And I don't know if they anticipated this, because they didn't. Their servers can't manage the amount of people. It first came out like 100,000, ran out of space. They turned it to 200,000, ran out of space. 300,000, ran out of space. I think they're at 400,000 now, and they still can't get in. I bought it, and last night, every time I checked in, I was on a wait list. They're doing it because they want to still preserve a good experience for those who are in. Yeah. But it's like, how much do you do in the first week of a game to really satisfy it? I mean, servers aren't cheap, all these things. So
how long is it going to be like this? It's tough.
Exactly. With just, so early on, it's outperformed anything that Sony's ever done. So this is a good thing for this developer, Arrowhead. They're a second party developer, essentially. They're not owned by PlayStation, but the IP is. So this is kind of cool. It's kind of a cool experiment. just before we got on the podcast, I said, let me just check to see if I can get into the game. I got into the game, but it was like doing the tutorial. So I'm like, I didn't even get to experience it. So I can't say much about it, but I know this game is huge, so I will definitely be jumping in it. I know Logan will be jumping in on it. So I'm excited to see this. And this is a PvE only game, so I'm excited to be with others, talk to them, and see how this goes. And hopefully they're very strong and can carry me. That's all I'm going to say.
Excellent.
So we'll see how it goes. Yeah. So then so because I couldn't play Helldivers 2, Gamefly sent me a new game called Banishers. This is by Don't Nod, the team that has done a couple of other story-based games, typically almost like Telltale type games. They did a combat narrative game called Vampire in 2018, which I absolutely loved. And now this is their newest IP. It's set essentially in 1680 in New England, where it's old world America. And we've got 2 banishers that are coming from Europe. We have one woman who is essentially the lead banisher, and her assistant, who was also her lover, called Red. He's very Scottish. Kind of looks like you, Mark. Beard, red. But basically their job is essentially they say live for the living, death to the dead. So they're supposed to put the dead to rest, whether they are peaceful. If they're not, then they combat them to send them on their way, trapped, and move along. It's a cool concept, and I like it. You play as the female lead, and you start in there, and you go to this village where you're supposed to help this priest essentially uncover a mystery. And when you come there, this is very early in the game. I want to say it's spoilers. He's dead. You have to figure out what happened to him, but you also encounter him, and you have to make a decision on what to do. Because his widow is grieving, she gets brought along. And I like it. It's got choice. It's got detection. And my wife was actually on the couch next to me watching me play. She was, oh, I like the story. It's really good. So that's a good sign that she liked it. So I think the story is very strong. There is combat, and I didn't get a lot of combat, but I think it's going to come along the way. But it's definitely a third-person action combat game, but not like platforming or anything. It's really more in that mode of discovery, find a mission, have some combat, and then you can probably, I'm assuming there'll be some leveling, but I know based on the trailers I saw earlier, I won't be playing the main protagonist very long. Yeah. And that is part of the story. So if you saw the trailer, I think it was at either the PlayStation or Xbox event last year. This one kind of put the story on its ear. So I'm really excited to see where this goes. And it's a very strong showing from Don't Nod. And I hope they do more of this, because it feels like it's kind of like a Sony game doing what Sony does on a smaller budget, which I like, because I like the combat. I like that. And I don't want to wait 8 more years for the next Witcher or the next God of War. So I really like the game so far. And I like it's not like visually stunning. It looks good, but it's because it has probably a mediocre budget. And it's from Focus Entertainment, not Embracer Group, thankfully. So hopefully we'll see more of this, and hopefully it's getting good word of mouth. It's a very busy year this year for games. Yeah. So I hate to see anything get overlooked, but this game it's really good. So I'm excited for that so far.
A sleeper hit. It's got such great reviews that I can really see. Yeah. I can see people picking this up eventually, but like having a slow burn of like, oh man, you got to play this, you got to play, like different people playing it at different times and suggesting it. And then, you're talking about it now. I'm going to put it on my list of like, I need to get this eventually and play it when my console is not taken over by a 3-year-old.
I really wish maybe PlayStation or Xbox had put this on Game Pass or PlayStation Plus, because I think it would have really been like, oh, this is a great game to have for free, and it's try. So I know Vampire came to, I think it came to Game Pass 6 months later after it was released. Right. So I hope this does well. So it doesn't have to go there, but I hope it does well. And it's like, oh, we should add this to our service so it gets that second bump and get some love. And, maybe this is a game that finds a new audience. I hope it finds a new audience maybe around Halloween as well, because it's that type of game. It feels very spooky, very Sleepy Hollow-esque is the best way to put it.
So, and I mean, and that's what I've been playing. See that, like, if it, let's say it theoretically drops on Game Pass, so like 6 months from now is what, August, September. So like you could be really like 6-7 months. You're dropping that on Game Pass, September, October. Perfect.
Yeah.
Nice Halloween release. Let this initial launch get them the money from people buying it, all that kind of stuff. And then 6, 7, 8 months down the road, hey, this is coming to Game Pass. Hey, this is coming to PlayStation Plus, Extra Plus, whatever it's called. And here you go, enjoy it for the spooky times. Like, I think that's a perfect scenario because then you get kind of the best of both worlds. And launching it on those things at a time where people are like, okay, what's the spooky thing that I'm going to play? Sounds like a good strategy to me.
Yeah, I love it when a service can help a game that really deserves an audience find an audience, and there's no penalty for trying it out. And of course, like I think you get a discount on those services when they're on them. So if you want to keep it, you get a discount. So I think that's a good way to experience these type of games. So awesome. So that's what we've been playing, folks. So I think, Mark, after this ad that tells you all about the awesome things of Zencastr and keeps our lights on, we'll be getting into the bonus round. Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencastr. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution, provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencastr because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to zencastr.com/SFU and use our code SFU. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experience I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show. All right, it's time for the bonus round, Mark. This week is a little bit different because we have been waiting for a lot of news to drop. So there's been news to drop about the Xbox business update. Apparently there's going to be a Nintendo Direct happening, and now we know it's happening actually on Wednesday. It's a partner Direct. So all these things are coming together in the light, I would say. Along with PlayStation, we're hearing PlayStation is struggling now with profit and things are costing too much. When we hear like $300 million for the next Spider-Man, that's very hard to finance a game like that, basis the numbers and how they're going, and especially if you hear of like all of the publishers are doing layoffs and things. Xbox did 1900 because of their merger, so it's a tough environment. So a couple of things are coming out, and then we also hear Nintendo, with the next Switch, apparently it might even get pushed out to 2025. I don't know why. I don't think we got a good answer with that. And then we've got a partner Direct with Nintendo coming out as well. So all these things are out there. They're layering on a couple of different things. So let me quickly hit on the Xbox business update. Essentially, the only thing they really highlighted as changing is they will be announcing that 4 games from Xbox's portfolio will be coming to other platforms. They didn't say the games, they didn't say the platforms, but they did say 2 of the games are more social, and they have kind of essentially done their job on the platforms they are. And then the other 2 are not necessarily exclusives that are going to drive you to buy a system, but they are good games that deserve to grow. Did I miss anything?
No, that's about it. People were so like the rumor mill was grinded before this announcement, before this little podcast that they released last Thursday. And mercy, I'm glad that they put this out because it as an Xbox fan, this put my mind to rest that like they're not going the way of Sega. They're working on their next console. They're very confident about it. They said it's going to be the biggest generational leap that we've ever seen, which is wild, thinking from like, Super Nintendo to N64 and then let's say standard definition to HD kind of thing. Like we haven't seen, to me anyway, we've seen very like evolutionary steps, I guess,
Yes.
Gradual.
We aren't at 8K yet, right? We aren't at 8K. We aren't at like
it's not even
480
8K.
frames per second.
That's the stuff, right? Like it's not like there hasn't been something. I mean, look at most of this generation so far has been backwards compatible on a PS4 or an Xbox One. There are benefits of playing the games on the newer consoles and stuff like that, but like there's not too much this generation that you can look at and instantly be like, oh, that couldn't run on a PS4.
Yeah.
It might sound like a jet engine trying to take off, but like the things could probably run a lot of the stuff with like maybe some, cell shading and stuff or not cell shading. What am I trying to look for? Like the ray tracing.
Ray tracing. Yeah.
Yep. Turned off, that kind of stuff. But like, yeah, like this was a very confident Xbox, very different from the rumors that were saying like, oh, they're going, they're stopping making consoles. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. And it's like, okay, cool. Yeah. They kind of like hit it running, and it was a very short podcast, but they said a lot without saying a lot.
They did. Yeah, they absolutely did. And I think that the whole point is they've been talking about their strategy for a long time. They want Xbox games to be on every screen, mobile, wherever you are, TVs. And that's true. And that's kind of leading into where they're going. Microsoft's strategy has been services everywhere. There was a time when Microsoft Office wasn't only on PC, it's on Macs, it's on Android. So they want to get their games everywhere, but they know at this point they can't, and they even said this, Game Pass will only be on where it's currently at today. It's not going to be on Nintendo, it's not going to be on Xbox. So essentially, with Game Pass, and they've also said at Game Pass, including their core, they're only at 34 million subscribers. So they know they essentially said, and they even said this, console only gets them so far. And so they know they need to get elsewhere with their games. And so if they want to grow, they got to get their games elsewhere to show people, hey, look what you could get on Xbox for free if you had Game Pass. So maybe try it on PC or on Xbox console. So it makes sense that they're sticking around. I mean, I'll tell you this, the Surface hardware that Microsoft has is really good hardware, but it's a niche. It's not the best, and it's not everywhere. So, but they stay in the hardware game. They don't have to be the only one in the market. But Windows is on all of those other Windows devices, and I think that's where they're going with their console market too, as we've seen Windows devices on in PC and Steam, where essentially it's a console-like experience in a handheld. And I think that as long as they can improve Windows to make it more like a console experience, I don't know why they don't just put Xbox on a PC and call it a day, Mark, because quite honestly, that's what people want. But I think that's where they're going to go. And if they can get their games on other platforms, make money to grow, because they can only grow so much, I think it's a good decision. And those games, a lot of people are guessing those games. are Sea of Thieves and Grounded, and then Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush. So, I know people are saying Switch for everything. I think it's going to be a little bit of a mixed bag with Nintendo. I think Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush will work.
Definitely. Yep, absolutely.
And it makes sense. Yeah, for both PlayStation and Switch, which we'll probably find out that those are coming. But I think the Sea of Thieves and the Grounded will wait until the Switch 2. Mark, remember what I said about the Switch 2? TU, Spanish, means you, Switch 2. You're like, Todd, shut up. Super Switch or nothing. So I think that makes sense in the next gen when they have better online infrastructure and they can handle the rigorous nature of those games, because I think it just makes sense. I don't know. Your thoughts?
And I completely agree that I don't think we're going to see Sea of Thieves or Grounded if those are the games. And it makes a lot of sense that those are the games, especially Sea of Thieves. I could see an argument for something other than Grounded maybe, but I think Sea of Thieves is a moneymaker. You've got cosmetics in there. I haven't touched Grounded really since it came out, so I don't know what the current cosmetics and stuff like that, like same kind of deal, I guess, maybe. I don't know.
Not really. There's not a lot of, I did not encounter any like purchase things, because it doesn't seem to hard the game. It just seems more of a Minecraft, like maybe they make like DLC packs where it's like Grounded, but now it's like everybody's dressed like Master Chief. I don't know.
And that's why I was trying to think of something else that could fit in with like Sea of Thieves and other ongoing games that do have DLC. And I'm really wondering if it's completely crazy to think something like Halo, but only multiplayer. Halo, multiplayer. That side of Halo could come to something and have your cosmetics and have all that kind of stuff. And again, open it up to a lot more people, because if there's more people playing wherever, more people are going to be enticed to spend money. And like, that's one of the reasons I play Fortnite so much, is because when my nephews, and now they have everything, but whatever, when they had only Switches, I could still play with them. And now, even if they have an Xbox and a PlayStation and a Switch and whatever, and they're going back and forth between this place and that place, I can still play with them wherever they are and whatever they're playing on. If that's the same thing with Halo, with Sea of Thieves, even with Grounded, if that's your jam, awesome. That is the best scenario, because the worst thing about a multiplayer game is saying like, oh yeah, we can only play that if you guys all have this very expensive new specific box that maybe you don't like the other games for. Maybe you aren't in. Maybe you said get an Xbox and your mom got Lee Carvalho's putting challenge and gave you a PlayStation. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of stuff, right? So I think for those type of games, and Hell Divers is another one that I'm like, Sony, you want to start making more money on this game? You want to start like being able to use this to pay for the next Spider-Man game? Release it everywhere. Get everyone paying for the game, for the content, like whatever. Keep your single player focused gaming experiences exclusive, sure, whatever. But like, these kind of things make way more sense going multi-platform. So I'm really wondering if Grounded is it. I think Sea of Thieves is a shoe-in, but I could be steered in other directions from Grounded.
I think Grounded makes a lot of sense for the other crowds, because the type of gameplay, it's more cozy in a way. It's got a limited combat. I played it, so I think maybe it makes sense for the Nintendo crowd. But I could see Halo Master, like, we're talking about this, like, I think for an online type of game, I think it probably makes sense to bring that game everywhere. It already did its job. It was an early release, and it wasn't even like, it was a pet project from Bethesda for Grounded. And Sea of Thieves, it's been out 7 years.
And that's the thing. Like, Sea of Thieves has been out, for a long time. Xbox One days. Yeah. So that
it was direct to Game Pass.
close to running on Switch, but like definitely Switch 2. Like that game's
absolutely
100%.
The online infrastructure. I think it helps to go. So I think all of these things, it makes a sense because I don't think people are buying an Xbox for Sea of Thieves or Grounded. I think they're buying an Xbox because of Game Pass, and Game Pass is the only place you are going to get a Game Pass is on Xbox or a PC. So at that point, because it's a value, because well, you can get on PlayStation or Nintendo for 70, 60, whatever dollars. Mm-hmm. Or you could just get it for $15 or $10 a month and get all these other great games. So I think that's the inherent value. It's like, I know people are like worried about all these games going on their platforms. Like, yeah, they're going on their platforms, but you're paying full price. And if you're thinking about saving money as a consumer, you could pay $15 for 1 month on Game Pass, play it, and then move on. Yeah. You don't have to keep paying on Game Pass if you don't want to. So I think there's value in there.
One thing that Phil did kind of harp on, and I'm very curious about their strategy for this, or if he just meant like Xbox and PC, but he did make a point of talking about like you buy it once and you get it in multiple spots.
The entitlements.
You pay once and you get it, right? The entitlements. And I'm very, very curious because he also mentioned things like cross save and all this kind of stuff. And I'm very curious if Sea of Thieves drops on Switch, do I just get it? Because I own that game. I don't even have that on Game Pass. I own that when I upgraded to Game Pass Core. I bought Sea of Thieves. So I have the entitlement for that game potentially wherever it goes. Do I still own that on Switch? Is there a way for me to log in and get that game through Xbox or something like that? Or do I just have to pay for it again? But I can do the cross save, cross progression, all that kind of stuff. I'm really wondering what part of that he meant for which platform, because he did really harp on that for a little bit.
I'm guessing it's the Xbox and PC. You buy it once, you get it elsewhere, because it was like Xbox Play Anywhere for a long time. It was the same thing. You got it on PC. Now, I think, Mark, what they're trying to do is, and I've heard this with the background thing, this Logan from XCP even mentioned, like they're doing some things in the background to enable cross save, which I like. Cross save and cross play are really where we need to be. Wherever you own it, your save will follow, like Destiny, and you'll play with everybody. I think that's where we need to be. Don't have walled gardens with playing with others, because people are not going to spend $500 to play just one game with their friends. They want to be, and I think the younger generation, that's how they exist now. So I don't think you can go the walled garden with the modern audiences, because it just doesn't make much sense. So I don't know if you get on Switch, but I think that's where there's going to say there's a benefit to be in that area of the ecosystem versus just being able to play the game and play with your friends. It's more money. It's more revenue for Microsoft as they grow. They realize they're probably capped out at their consoles, because the console market, quite honestly, between Switch, Nintendo, and PlayStation is probably around $300 million max. Probably that's it. And then beyond that, you got to go elsewhere. PC, everywhere else. So it just even having a box doesn't guarantee you the most profit. So I'm hoping everybody's going to get beyond that. The only one that isn't, and we'll talk about that a little bit, is probably Nintendo. But the whole thought of multi-platform, I think, is going to change where we're at, especially we get into cloud. Microsoft is even talking about more. What's the term of the architecture, like mobile? It's not Risk. Is it Risk or ARM? Where essentially you're like Nintendo, where you're on a mobile chipset. Like Apple uses. The Apple doesn't use like NVIDIA and Intel anymore. They're using their own integrated like APUs, which is chips on silicone, smaller, less heat to do things. And they can do some really amazing things. I know even Xbox even put into their documents that got leaked that they're thinking they might have a future doing more of a hybrid mode. So that's kind of cool. But beyond all of that, we're in a place now where everybody's catching on. Mobile PC gaming is becoming huge with the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally. There's a Legion Go, and we're hearing Windows. Even Xbox may even have a mobile system as they partner with another platform and basically make a mobile UI for gaming, which the Xbox UI probably would work really well, and it's basically Windows already. So with that, PlayStation hasn't dabbled in that architecture yet, and it sounds like they're going to double down on their last year strategy or last gen strategy with a PS5 Pro, because they saw sales getting stagnant with the PS4. Yeah. They did the PS4 Pro, but their only change we're hearing with PlayStation they're coming on board with now is based on where they're seeing their profit margin drop, is they want to move forward to a future where PlayStation potentially is day and date on PC and PlayStation. Hell Divers 2 is the first experimentation in that mode, and they've seen success on PC already with a staggered release. So, and I know they bought some developers to actually help with PC ports. So with that, that makes me think, is multi-platform the future? Because if you can afford a affordable PC handheld, $500, that maybe Dr. TV, why do you need an Xbox? Why do you need a PS5 when all those games are going to PC? And that's where I'm like thinking, yeah. And you can bring any controller to the table. Your Xbox controller, your PlayStation controller, a keyboard and mouse, a weird hybrid. And it makes me think, I'm like, yeah, maybe you don't need a console box, but it's there if you want it. Yeah. And I don't think anybody's going to steal your console as long as there's money to be made. But, I have a gaming PC, and I'm like, yeah, I paid that much money, and it's just ridiculous. But I also podcast from it. I do other things. Right. But quite honestly, if I didn't need it, I'd tell everybody, buy a Steam Deck. Buy that if you want to play all the games, or a Roger Ally for $600, because it's cheaper than buying an Xbox and a PS5, and you can also get Game Pass on it.
Yeah, I love the handheld, the hybrid console strategy. I think it's just waiting for someone to crack it. And I don't think someone's cracked it. Like, Steam Deck has come close, but I still don't think, like, Steam Deck's still a little techie, a little geeky, nerdy. Like, you kind of have to know what you're doing to set it up right, to do everything the way you want to. It's still a little tinkery, I think, for the mass market. And I don't think I think it's a handheld first, and there's, dock and whatever available, but I still think someone needs to crack it like Nintendo has, but in a pro setting. So if Nintendo's cracked it for, like, here's our handheld, here's our hybrid, it can plug into the TV, it's very quick and easy to just dock it, and it makes the fun little sounds when you click the Joy-Cons and all that kind of stuff. And it's very friendly, and the UI is simple, but it translates from touch to handheld to TV, and everything just kind of works. I don't think anyone else has cracked it yet. And I think whoever does first, if it's like a PC based handheld or whatever, like, at least it can run Steam and run Game Pass and run Windows games and blah, blah, blah. Someone's going to just crush the console market. And they absolutely, there's room for that, especially if PlayStation's moving stuff to PC faster. If that's Microsoft's strategy going forward, like, there is absolutely a world where we could have PC and Nintendo as, like, the dominant video game entertainment platforms. Yeah. And someone just needs to crack it and come out with something that's, like, borderline affordable and easy. Easy is the main thing, where you don't have, it's just right there. And I don't know, like, I don't know who that's going to be. It could be anyone.
So
like that.
I think Windows needs to make a gaming OS like Xbox, but it's for it's under a brand, and they can partner with Asus or whoever they want to. And Mark, instead of doing a handheld like Steam Deck, because I think that's there, but a box that's $500 that goes to your TV. Because if you think about that, a lot of the dollars tied into like a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally are tied to, like, the screen and temperatures and all those things. If you're saying, I'm not going to make this a handheld, I'm just going to make it a box that's small and hooks up to a TV, you could do a hell of a system, and it would just connect and get you that high def, get you all the bells and whistles. Steam is loaded, Windows is there, so you get Game Pass, and then you can get Steam for PlayStation games. It's an all-in-one. It may not get you an all-in-one plus a hybrid, but you could then say, well, maybe Nintendo picks up the ball and gets everything else on the go. Yeah. But Nintendo has to play ball. And I think that's the hardest part. Will Nintendo play ball with anybody? Because it seems like they're willing to let everybody do things on their system, but they rarely are reciprocating and say, hey, yeah, we'll give you Mario. No, they won't. We'll give you this. No, they won't. But we'll take Banjo and Smash. We'll take Ori.
Yeah, Nintendo's definitely...
They're not a caring lover, Mark.
Yeah.
They're not a caring lover.
No.
Very selfish.
Very selfish. Nintendo does not play well. And that's why I said, I think someone like Nintendo is the other option if it's PC or whatever. But I think Nintendo's still kind of floating out there on their own. And that's fine, whatever. It is what it is. So I don't see a future unless things drastically change again. If Switch has another Wii U, or if Nintendo has another Wii U on their hands with Switch 2, Super Switch, whatever you want to call it, maybe they start to share some things. If they have another Switch or Wii style success with the Super Switch, Nintendo's staying selfish. I think it all depends on what happens with this next console and, how things are. But I don't think Nintendo has a need to play nice. I think everyone's please put our stuff on your, please put this character in Smash Brothers. Please do this. Even Xbox is looking at that Switch market going you guys are closing in on being the best selling console of all time. Yeah, okay, you can have Pentiment, you can have Hi-Fi Rush. Let's go. We can make some money here. What are they inching close to 130 million consoles sold or some crazy stuff like that? And that's not even getting into the holiday. I'd be delaying the Switch 2 as well. Let's break some records. Let's put this thing on sale and just crush everything else. PlayStation 2 and the Nintendo DS?
Yes, yeah, 150, 155. Yeah, silly Mark. Nintendo will never discount the Switch because they haven't. I don't think they will. I think they'll just essentially say, yeah, the Switch Lite's available for $200. Here's Switch 2. I think that's what they'll do. And it'll be available for the next 2 years or whatever. Kind of like that weird Nintendo DS, 2DS or whatever that was there for years later. It was So, yeah. I just do not see them saying because they know they're going to be somebody who wants another Switch Lite because their Switch Lite died because their kid put it in the toilet. So there's still a market for that, and they don't have to do anything, and they could probably get there without even. I mean, you've seen what they've been listing for their games this year. It's going to be a lot of remakes and remasters, and Princess Peach, I think, is their only original game they still have left announced this year. So, I mean, if they delay till 2025, I mean, why not? Put out Metroid Prime 2 and 3 remaster. Put out Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker remake. People would be happy and save the big hitters for 2025 and just replay the Switch playbook. We're good to go. I'm sure there's a new Imagine Dragons song they can do.
First part, Mario vs. Donkey Kong just came out. Splatoon 3 DLC drops this week.
Yep, Delicious Course. Yep, and then we have Princess Peach.
What's it? Luigi's Mansion, right?
2, yeah, that's the other one. And then, other than that, I've heard there's might be even a Fire Emblem remaster or remake that they've been holding on to for a couple of years that could be available to drop as well.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So it's going to be one of those years, which is fine because they're going to save the big games for
Thousand Year Door
2.
Paper Mario.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So that's the other one. That's another remake. Yep. So, I mean, they could do nothing else this year and have a great holiday and then say, hey, in September, here's Switch 2. And it's coming out in whatever. And it's not like those games that are the fall. I mean, there might be a Pokemon release in the fall, which can be
there's
on
a few
Switch.
rumors that are poking around of what's the last one I heard was another Let's Go with Togepi and Meryl.
Was it Black and White? Was that the one that I've heard they're going to remake?
Well, no, Pokemon. So the Let's Go series would be a Gold Silver remake in a kitty style of like Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. The Black and White remake rumor is like a full remake, or core kind of remake, like Diamond and Pearl or whatever it was that just came out a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And then there's the other rumor that I heard was another Legends game. Pokemon Legends Celebi, I think, is what I heard. So continue the Pokemon Legends Arceus kind of idea, which I would love. That game was awesome. So a lot of Pokemon that they could announce.
Do they really want to go after another Pokemon on this system, though? That's what I'm wondering. It's the only thing I'm thinking. Like, they've struggled with technology, and remakes, would more horsepower help them?
Work. I don't think they'd be necessary for like a Let's Go game or a remake of Black and White. Like, not necessary at all. Release them for this. Legends, absolutely. Toss some more horsepower. Even though that game was great, that game ran way better than Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
But could still use a little bit more horsepower, of course, especially if they go bigger with it. So that's the only one out of those three potentials. That's the only one that I would say even bother waiting for Switch 2. Like, the other ones could be 100% like cross-platform release or whatever it is, cross-generation release, or just like Switch. Like here you go. Those can release tomorrow on Switch and be completely fine because they're not pushing the envelope. It's a remake, pretty version of Gold and Silver, and Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu ran phenomenal. Like, those were great games, very simplified, but like they were fantastic for what they were. That on a technical standpoint, anyway. I think Pokemon could at any point just drop those.
So it seems like that maybe that is their swan song on Switch. And then we are hearing rumors that it's going to be an 8-inch screen, which may mean that the Joy-Cons that you currently own won't fit because the bezel will be too big. So maybe they support like a wireless mode, which is fine. And with that, I'm hearing backwards compatible is a go, which is great. So which means that, those games will work on Switch. And when the games that come out for Switch are going to be like bangers, but they'll probably also work on the original Switch, but with just like not as good of performance. So those cross-gen games could be going on for a long time, but we just see like the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One, where it's like, you get the 30 frames per second. It's not great, but you can play it. But if you really want to play it the right way, you get the Switch 2. So I think that's a good thing. So with that, Mark, I mean, we're probably expecting Nintendo to go do more of the same with a couple of new twists on it, which we saw with like Nintendo to Super Nintendo versus the Wii to Wii U, doing something completely different. Basically it's going to be more evolutionary than revolutionary, which I think is good, which I think people are fine with, and maybe some like unique things that they always do. With PlayStation and Xbox, we are hearing that 2028 is probably going to be the next generation of hardware. I am curious though, if we had to put all our cards on the table and we said multi-platform is going to be the future, and we said, okay, PC is the best way to play all of the games, excluding Nintendo, would we lean into a box that could do that if it was Xbox branded and it had access to a Steam store, but had the Xbox UI as the heartland? You didn't have to worry about drivers and things.
Yeah.
Would that be like the holy land for everybody?
I think, like, when I was talking earlier and said I don't know who's going to crack it, like, the company that could, Microsoft's the highest valued company in the world, or they were. I don't know if they've crossed back down.
Oh yeah, $3 trillion. Like, Apple and them are fighting with pitchforks over dollars.
Constantly go back and forth. Anyway, for at least a time, and it might still be going on, Microsoft's the most valuable company in the world. If not, they are one of the most valuable companies in the world.
Yes.
They have the power 100% to make the next Xbox a PC with a nice coat of paint over it. So if you can do, and again, this is the simplicity side of things. If you can make the PC interface work in the background and have an Xbox style UI, but when you click store, it opens up into more things. It's a little bit more open than a closed console system. Steam can put a store on there. Epic can put a store on there, and you get
Oculus can put a store on there, and you can connect your headset to it like you can now.
Yep. So I mean, like that kind of stuff, and then the Xbox store is just a store, but you're running this thing that works on a TV because no one wants a mouse and keyboard when they're just sitting in their living room hoping to pick up something and jump into the next Halo game or whatever it is. Like I think Xbox is the one that could crack this because they have Windows, they have Xbox. They just need to combine them in a nice way. They haven't figured that out yet, but they could. I'm thinking,
and I think you're right. And if they let Nintendo just manage the, and then of course you got like the outliers, the Asus ROG, and maybe they partner with Microsoft on a great gaming OS for their device, and that allows you to do mobile and then do the same thing. I think that's probably where we're going with that. But you think about this, if they partner with Steam and say, hey, Steam, we're going to give you another option to get to everybody. And for developers, it's great because developers could say, this is the Xbox version of all of our games, kind of like Steam Deck does, where they've got one OS, they've got one setting, they can program to it. And they said, by the way, this is going to be there. Just think about all those developers would say, oh, wait, I've got one standard and it works and I can do that. That's a winner. And then maybe Steam says, hey, by the way, we'll allow you to have, we'll come up with a partnership. And instead of the 30% you normally get, you get 15% of all sales that are purchased through these boxes. That could be a killer, man, because all the PlayStation games are there.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, whoever figures that out to work with a TV, forget handheld. Like a box that does that allows multiple stores and just ease of use. But it's the UI that's the big thing. No one wants a PC on their couch.
No,
like that's a hassle. That's a pain in the butt. No. You want something with a flashy, easy to use UI that's like, here's the Steam store, here's this, here's that. And they had Steam had that for
Steam does have Steam Big Picture mode, which works great.
Yeah,
it works great. It's a really good environment, and quite honestly, the Xbox OS would work for it because it does.
Right.
Yeah.
So those kind of combinations, and you see, Epic and Xbox and different, like in Europe, it's very interesting what's going on right now with mobile phones and like iOS and being able to put other stores on there. And like Xbox has already said, like they don't agree with what, they don't think they're going far enough. So they're not going to put a native xCloud or cloud gaming app on iOS yet, even though they're allowed to now, which just opened up. It was crazy. But like there's some big changes coming up on the mobile front, on the like open store front, on like where you can get games and what you can install them on and all that kind of stuff. Like the next few years is going to be super interesting because phones are super powerful. The TV is still a great place, but as far as like game anywhere, cross save, cross progression, all that kind of stuff is going to be insanely important because especially if the regulators like step up and make it so like I can install the Epic store on this, I can install a Game Pass or an Xbox store on this device, I can install it on this, that, whatever else, like things are going to change. And whoever cracks that first of like, here's this thing that can run every store and works with whatever controller that you like to play with on your couch, plug it in and go. Like That's going to be it. Like it's someone just need, and I think it's potentially could be Xbox.
Well, another opinion could be on Nintendo is GeForce Now, which GeForce Now is apparently what I've heard, and I haven't done it, but it is the premier streaming service. And essentially you buy the games on Steam or whatever, and they just work on your mobile device or your PC browser or your Mac browser, and they work wonderful. I've heard like the latency is actually lower on GeForce Now than on a home console. So if you imagine if Nintendo partnered with GeForce Now, they said, yeah, we'll get a credit of sales and you can play those games on a Nintendo console wirelessly. Obviously, it would probably be only in the home, but still, that's a huge boon to get into the high-end gaming market on a handheld at a low cost with Nintendo.
Yeah. Be interesting.
Wow. Have we solved this problem, Mark?
I think so. Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm happy.
I think so. So there we go, folks. Multi-platform, maybe. It's probably going to be Nintendo and others is probably the ongoing of this, especially with them having their own theme parks and things like that. So we'll see how this goes. But this was a fun discussion because, you know what? Don't argue about where you play your games. Just play the games. No matter where you can. Play the games. Everything else will be fine. So thank you for going on this gaming journey, everyone. We're going to be back in 2 weeks. And let us know if you have any thoughts on all of this, topics you'd like to address. But in the meantime, Mark, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Threads and TikTok as Canardian_gamer. And of course, hanging out in our Discord group as well.
Excellent. So check out Mark and his sexiness in TikTok. He's looking good these days.
Okay.
Typically in a dinosaur outfit.
Inflatable dinosaur costume, yes. That's when I look my best.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You can follow me on Twitter at Toxtra, at SecretFriendsU, on Threads at Toxtra, at SecretFriendsUnite, and on our Discord and at SecretFriendsUnite.com. Yeah. So thank you, Mark. Everyone, thank you for all of the wonderful things you bring to us to talk about the world of gaming. We appreciate you, and please, please enjoy your gaming. With that, remember, folks, it's always better to game together.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at SecretFriendsU on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.